Hey guys, it's Ashley from ReloGeek.com, your car's personal travel agent, and you are watching the ReloGeek Insider. And today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what it is as a day in the life of an auto transport broker and why do we exist. I've noticed a lot of things going on lately in the blogs. Actually, not even lately. This has been going on for as far as back as 2005, 2006. A lot of people have this perception that they don't need auto transport brokers and that we're just a nuisance to the industry. So I wanted to expand on that and talk about that a little bit with you guys, because if you actually understood why we exist and why so many carriers depend on us, then maybe it would open up your horizons and you'll be able to understand a lot more about our industry. So if you really want to learn more, then continue watching. So why do auto transport brokers exist? What is our purpose? As some of you guys may know, I started out about 7 years ago as an enclosed auto transport driver. I had just got my license in February of 2007, and by that June of 2007, I was hauling luxury automobiles, exotics. I'm talking everything from Bentleys to Lamborghinis to Vipers, to everyday vehicles as well. So occasionally we'd get maybe like a Toyota or a Honda, but for the most part, as an enclosed auto transport driver, most of the clients were high-end clients that had these automobiles that was upwards worth more than $100,000. So that was my break into the trucking industry. Growing up, I had a lot of family in trucking, but my dad used to haul cars on an open carrier for Cadillac, but that was years ago. So I'm not new to the trucking industry per se, but when I started, that was where I was tossed into. I was tossed into, of course, by choice, high-end automobiles. So I spent a lot of years as a driver. I started this business about a year ago, a little over a year ago, because I wanted to continue, after I had my daughter, I wanted to continue the whole interaction with everyday people that ship cars. I wouldn't call myself a car enthusiast because I don't know much about cars. I can look at a car and tell you the brand of the car, but as far as engine or anything like that, like I don't know that stuff. And it was the same thing as a truck driver. I could tell you what kind of engine was in my truck, but I couldn't tell you how to fix it if it broke. That's what shops are for. So that's just to give you a little backstory on my experience. On both sides of the playing field. So I'm speaking from experience. I'm not talking about what other people are saying. I'm only talking about from my experience. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about brokers. As a truck driver, when I was driving, I relied on brokers. I was not a big company. I wasn't working for a big company. I work for an owner-operator, which is a guy who owns his truck, and he can either drive his truck himself or he can pay somebody to drive the truck. And he paid me to drive the truck. So these guys depend, mom and pops, I like to call them, depend on auto transport brokers to get business. Now, you've probably heard about the brokering board called UShip. That is not, I wouldn't even call it a brokering board, a load board called UShip. That is not industry standard for truck drivers. Truck drivers and brokers alike use a board called Central Dispatch. And you have to be licensed either as a carrier, federally licensed as a carrier, or a broker to get on there. So you, as regular everyday people, can't have access to that. Now, this load board has become a hub for truck drivers and brokers alike. Brokers like myself use the board to put cars on there so the drivers can find it. So when you call us as a broker, we put your car on the board and then the truck drivers call us. What happens from there varies from broker to broker. Now, myth number one is brokers put your vehicle on that board and give it to the first truck that calls. No, it's kind of true, but it's not. For some brokers, maybe that's how they operate. But a lot of the good brokers, we do not operate like that. Yes, we get calls. We take their information. We verify their insurance. Most of the time, not even through the carrier. It's through their actual insurance company. We live in a day and age of Photoshop, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to get had by somebody who chooses to Photoshop a document. That's not gonna happen to me. So I verify through the actual insurance agency. There is an actual process that trucks have to go through. And if that person happened to have been the first caller and they check out, then yes, they're going to get the vehicle. But it's not, hey, Ashley, I want that vehicle. Okay, have it there. Here's the customer's information. No, it does not work like that. So that's a myth that I've been seeing a lot on a lot of forums, a lot of blogs. That's not true. The other thing is that brokers just want your money, and we're getting paid to be the middleman, and the industry can do without us. No, the industry cannot do without brokers, and here's why. Running a business in itself takes a lot of time. You have to market your business. You have to which is getting your name out there. You have accounting to do. You have your website to run. You have to answer customer service when people are calling. You have to find trucks for these people, for the clients to put their vehicles on. These are just basic day-to-day activities that a broker has to go through to move a car. Now, a truck driver, they have to drive across the country. They have to find cars to fill their trucks. When do they have time between sleeping and driving to run the business as a broker would? I can tell you that my whole entire day, even after I'm not supposed to be working, when I'm supposed to be spending time with my daughter, it's spent doing activities that involve around growing a successful business. I have to market myself. I have to look at my ads and see if I'm running an ad, if it's performing. I have to talk to potential clients. I have to answer quotes. These are things that take up my day. Yes, there's automated ways where you can automate your work, but then you as the client are going to get a machine opposed to a real person. And some people run companies like that, and that's fine. But if you want a person like me who just want a personalized service, then that won't work for you. That's just not going to cut it. You have to be involved in your business. And as a truck driver, I'm not talking about big companies. I'm not talking about Intercity. I'm not talking about Reliable. I'm not talking about Passport. These are big companies. They have people in place, dispatchers in the office, people running the company so the drivers can do what they do best, which is drive. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the mom and pops that own their truck, save their money, paying a payment, whatever it is, maintaining their truck. They just don't have the time. So what happens? They rely on us as brokers to give them their vehicles. Those guys, most mom and pops run specific routes. They're not going to be all over the country. And you might be in California and need your car shipped to North Dakota, whereas they're running Florida to Colorado. That's nowhere in your route. So you calling them, it's not necessarily that you're going to get your car moved. This is why you rely on brokers, because we have access to a load board. So the last myth that I'm going to talk about is the fact that people believe that brokers don't do anything. All they do is sit behind their desk and throw your vehicle on a board, and that's it. And they're getting paid all this money. Well, when you put it into perspective, I can see why you would feel that way. But imagine it's not just you that's requesting quote from the broker. There's a lot of other people that are filling out quote forms probably at the same time as you. And this broker has to answer the quote request forms. Then they have to try to talk to you. So that, and for me, my typical day, if I get a quote and I'm talking to a customer, that's about 45 minutes already out of my day spent on the phone explaining how the process works. And again, not every company works like this. I can only speak from my experience with my company. So it's not just sitting there. Yes, throwing the car on a load board is part of our job, but it's not necessarily the only thing that we're doing all day. So when you factor that in, and even as a broker who works from home and doesn't have what you guys would call the typical overhead, it's still expenses. You have to collect payment, so you need a processing system. You have to have a website, otherwise you can't find us, right? So that has to be maintained. You have to market yourself. How you do it, it depends on you. For me, it's videos, blogs, Facebook, Instagram. These are things that I use to market my business. Going out to car shows, trying to interact with people. All these things take up your time. And so it's not like the myth that brokers just sit there and throw your car on the board. There's a lot more involved. Shipping one car can turn into a full-time job so easily. And that's just one car. I'm talking if a broker is really about their clients and their customers and customer satisfaction, then shipping one car can easily turn into a week's worth of work. So when you look at how much your broker is taking their cut, think about this first. How much work do they have to put into it just so that you can ship your car? That's pretty much it about the life of a broker, the difference, that kind of touched into the difference between a carrier and broker. Again, before you kill the brokers, find a broker, and I say this all the time, but find a broker that you can, that sits well with you. And you're probably thinking, well, actually, what does that got to do with anything? Just because somebody sits well with me don't mean that they're going to do a good job or that they're going to get my car safely to its destination. Right, but that's the starting point. If a company seems to be shady, or they're not answering your calls, or you're sending emails and it seems like you're asking questions that are not getting answered, then why keep doing that? Why do that? You're just asking to set yourself up for trouble. So that's it for this week's episode of the ReloGeek Insider. I really hope this video helped you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. Every week, every Wednesday, I release a different episode of the ReloGeek Insider answering your questions. So on that note, if you have any questions, please send me an email, ashley@relogeek.com, and I will answer your email either privately or I will create an episode and I will talk about it so the world can hear it. Thank you guys for watching. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. You're watching the ReloGeek Insider, and I'm Ashley from ReloGeek.com.